What's up, Foxton Fox here, and for the past 2 years, this laptop has been my daily driver whenever I go to college, and we are going to benchmark it today. As you can see, I have stickers on it because I used it quite a lot in my first semester in-person college. Then I switched over to an iPad because it was a little bit easier to carry around, and now I am going for the full upgrade. I'm going to be selling this gaming laptop because I'm going to be in a place in college that is larger. So I'll be able to fit my desktop into my room and not have to worry about it compared to a dorm, which is about, 100 square feet. And I am going to be upgrading to an XPS 13 Plus very soon, which I'm excited for, and I will have a review for. With that said, this is not a bad machine, especially for the price it goes for on eBay. I would say generally around $1,000 is what you kind of get off of these on eBay, and it comes with a 2070 Super, the model that I have, which is an older model. Again, I bought it in 2020, right before the 30 series came out. So it has a 2070 Super and a 1087.5H, which is an 8-core 16-thread CPU that often goes up to 91 degrees. And the 2070 in this model is max Q. So you are getting better performance than a regular 2070 Super laptop variant, but by how much, I don't know, because I always compare it to sort of like a GTX 1080, which is why it's still a fighter, and we are going to be benchmarking some of the most modern games against this machine to see what it does. So although it has a 240Hz panel, 16 gigs of RAM, and extra, I believe I got it with a 1TB storage, and then I added 2. So every game is loaded on an NVMe SSD. None of the games I'm testing are going to be utilizing the 240Hz because although it is a nice feature to have and the display honestly looks really nice, the first game on our benchmark is one that recorded a little bit wonkily, Halo Infinite at high with some low settings, because in order to switch some of those settings you have to restart the game, and Halo takes about a year and a half to load despite the fact that this is on NVMe. At 1080p, we saw an average of 54 FPS. So I would recommend playing Halo Infinite at lower settings on a machine like this. That's what I always do, but I wanted to push the graphics card and the CPU to their limits today. The CPU gets hot, not even under load, and probably one of the less perfect things about this computer, I shall say. With that said, it still holds up with the 2070 Super, and I stand by the fact that the 2070 Super is going to be the part that gets outdated faster. Now that you've probably thrown up from motion sickness, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is an exact opposite example where everything went right and it ran very well. At the ultra settings, at 1080p, we saw an average of 74 with a 1% low of 31 and a 0.1% low of 22. So good numbers across the board. The stutter started at the very beginning of the benchmark, but I noticed that no matter what CPU I'm using. So I think it's more so something with the game or assets loading in than it is the actual hardware that we're playing on. Another hefty game is Cyberpunk 2077. I chose the medium settings because anything above that is going to just destroy anything that isn't a 3080. At 1080p, we saw an average frame rate of 87 with a 1% low of 57 and a 0.1% low of 12. Again, there might have been some stutter, but in actual gameplay, I didn't notice it. Of course, being able to get 87 FPS actually surprised me. Even though we're playing it at 1080p, Cyberpunk has never been an easy game to run. Up next is Far Cry 6 with the high preset at 1080p, ran with an average of 67 with a 1% low of 46 and a 0.1% low of 33. So again, another fantastic result. Great 1% and 0.1% lows, and I have no complaints whatsoever playing on this system for Far Cry 6. And last but not least, Forza Horizon 6, a very beautiful looking game. For some reason, it didn't look as well anti-alias as I had hoped, maybe because it's 1080p, but nonetheless, we cranked everything up to Ultra, and the average frame rate was 67, but this was driving around in areas that were not very populated. And I did play a race with the Xbox Game Bar and saw an average of 57. So in races, with a lot of particle effects, you're gonna see less frames, but this is also at the Ultra preset. You can gladly turn down particle effects or just take it down to high, and you probably won't see that much of a difference. We saw a 1% low of 28 and a 0.1% low of 20. So again, the CPU kept up perfectly fine and there wasn't a whole lot of stutter to have been seen. Overall, this is a 1080p system now. You are not going to be able to push much beyond this unless you crank the settings down or have DLSS on your side. And I know that from personal experience because I had a 1440p monitor, and by the time I ended use of it, and by the time I stopped using it with a lot of modern games like Vanguard and Halo Infinite especially, it struggled a little bit. I was able to play Halo Infinite's campaign at 60 FPS, but I did have everything at the lowest possible settings, and I might have decreased render resolution. It was a while ago, so I don't remember. So again, you are going to have to make some sacrifices playing on this system. It's no longer the gigantic powerhouse that it once was when I got it, but it also has been a few years, and gaming laptops tend to age out a little bit. With that said, you're still getting a pretty solid PC if you were to buy one, because this is about $1,000 on eBay, and when 3060s are coming out for the same price and people are not doing super happy with the performance, boy. I think the 2070 Super is still a viable option for those of you who are looking around for some cheap-ish gaming laptops. The biggest drawback that this has is battery life, always has, and it's why I switched to an iPad later on. Otherwise, if you're looking for a gaming laptop and you're going to be plugged in a lot, I see no issues whatsoever, and I liked using this laptop, especially, man, coming home and sitting down and playing video games after a long day of school. I mean, I had an ultra-wide. I have an ultra-wide monitor, a 3440 by 1440, and I was still able to get decent frames sometimes, most of the time. So even though I am saying goodbye to my laptop, I still think that it's got good memories to it, and I don't think that it's a terrible purchase option if you're looking for lower-end gaming laptops. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, like, subscribe, do what you usually do, and as always, buy yourself something nice.